Tony, thank you very much, and I am actually delighted to have the last word, because in my house that's normally left to my wife, so it's a real privilege for me. And I am blatantly aware that I am the only thing standing between you and your lunches, so I will be efficient, to coin a phrase. WWF's been delighted to sponsor this event, and I would repeat the thanks that Tony made to the sponsors and organisers. And a big thank you, I think, to everyone here who has provided some real insight into energy productivity, energy efficiency, and the challenge that we face there. We started the session yesterday talking about guinea pigs. Now, if you weren't there, I'll come back to that in a minute, but I think we have certainly moved on a lot in the debate, which has been very insightful. From my perspective, my name is Trevor Hutchings and I work in WWF, but previously I have formed because I used to work in DEC, leading the low carbon economy programme and some of the government's energy efficiency programmes, and I know that a lot of these issues have been around for a long time, but you do get a real sense that there is momentum building. I mean, in 3 months' time we have COP21 and we've heard all about that. In 3 weeks' time we have the SDGs being ratified in New York. There is big international focus on this agenda and real momentum. And we've heard today and yesterday about some of the innovation and the technologies and the investment that's going into energy efficiency, energy productivity. And it gives me a real sense of pride that actually there is momentum. I think we have, in many countries, decoupled growth from emissions. And I think this is absolutely vital, and this is what we want to see continue. We've seen that the debate has long moved on from whether climate change is happening and indeed whether, in fact, it is caused by human activity. We know that the so-called flat earthers will literally start dying out in the next 10 years. And we know that the younger generations get this agenda. They know that there is no planet B, to coin a phrase. So I think the question really, and my observation of the last 2 days, is about one of pace and scale on this agenda. It is happening, but it's happening probably not as quickly and at the scale that we need. It is clear that in every leading scenario on climate change and greenhouse gas emissions that there are shed loads of energy efficiency within those pathways, yet we know that they are not being delivered on the ground. The opportunity is there, and we've heard some tremendous examples of opportunity that there could be. Just some figures to play back to you. I was taken by the street lighting example, some amazing savings there. I mean, we think that cost-effective opportunities in the UK could represent something in the order of 10% of overall UK energy consumption. These are huge figures, displacing new power stations, making the economy more efficient, providing growth opportunities, and so on. You know all the advantages that energy efficiency brings, not to mention health benefits, energy security, and so on. Let me just play back to you, though, what I've heard a little bit on why this isn't happening, though. We know that energy efficiency has a number of barriers. There are the key ones around needing the upfront finance to these and access to finance, and having projects that have aggregated to scale. We know that there's issues around verification of the savings. You can't see them. How do we get greater confidence in the market that products are actually leading to energy savings, genuine savings? There's general inertia. We know in the home environment that one can't even encourage the uptake of free insulation, let alone making people pay for it. We know there's a lack of trust around the kind of savings that might be achieved through different technologies. And we know that there is public policy risk around this, driving up cost of capital. We know that the government frameworks aren't adequate at the moment. And a particular bugbear of mine, I think, is we know that the externalities around all of this agenda aren't factored into public policy decision making. We know that the health benefits that come from a more efficient energy system aren't properly costed in to decision making, as one example. So what are we going to do about this? And I will be quick. But for me, I've heard a number of things. I'd start with the narrative. At the moment, I think the public narrative certainly is one of not really interested in this agenda in many respects, particularly energy efficiency. And a sense that actually to do something about this agenda means foregoing something. As an individual, I have to forego something in my lifestyle because I can't go on holiday as much as I want to, or whatever it might be. If I'm a business, I have to forego profit. If I'm a government, I have to forego growth and competitiveness and jobs. Well, frankly, that is a completely out-of-dated narrative, and it is an incorrect narrative. And we've all got a role to play in shifting that narrative to one of opportunity and positive vision that there is going forward. And WWF will be playing very much its part in that. We heard also about the need for the players, the actors, to join up. We know about the business, the NGOs, and I'm hearing this phrase, the fourth sector, coalitions of NGOs and businesses that are really pulling together to move this matter forward. I heard also a little bit about the role of the consumer. I think maybe there's still debate to be had on this. There's certainly an issue around more information for the consumer to make wiser purchasing and lifestyle choices. But there's also a role, I think, in choice editing, taking away the bad habits. And of course, that's nothing new. We see minimum standards on white goods now. That's choice editing. We see minimum standards on vehicles, on new homes that are built, perhaps not high enough standards, but that is all choice editing. I think that has got a part to play in ensuring that that government policy, business policy helps the consumer do the right thing. There was always a big argument when CFCs were phased out. There was a big arguments around the smoking ban, big public policy decisions. But you look back now, this is now taken for granted. It's not an issue anymore, and the use of energy and energy efficiency will be in the same class. Just turning to public policy, we heard from Lord Bourne. My issue with government is that there is a market failure here, and it is government's role to intervene when there is market failure to ensure that we have a much more efficient market that is acting rationally. That is not happening at the moment in this agenda, and I think public policy has a role to play, government intervention has a role to play. But of course there is no silver bullet, and it will require a number of different policy moves, but we need to reverse the backtracking that we've seen. I heard a suggestion around clear plan from government, so setting a trajectory on a carbon reduction and the role of energy efficiency and energy productivity in that, to ensure that there is certainty for investors and businesses on the direction of travel. A big bugbear is also this issue of the demand side is not treated the same as the supply side. A gigawatt of energy produced is the same as a gigawatt energy saved when you come to balance the grid. But if you look at public policy, it does not recognize it in that way whatsoever. That level playing field needs to be brought in. And I think we also need to see the government shed its allergic reaction to regulation. Regulation generates demand, generates growth and jobs, and clearly to drive energy efficiency at the pace required, I think regulation has a role to play in minimum standards. We've seen minimum standards and smart regulation work to some degree in the white goods sector, in the transport, vehicle emissions sector, and we need to see smart regulation, I think, brought more into everyday policy making. And this issue of energy efficiency being an infrastructure priority. Just turning to the role of business, absolutely a huge player in this agenda, and we are seeing business really leading by example and going ahead of government in many examples. Businesses know that this agenda makes business sense. It's way beyond any CSR agenda. It's about a bottom line business resilience, hard-nosed edge to business, and that's what we want to see. I would like to see businesses advocating for public policy change more readily, more openly. There are many businesses in this agenda, but there are many businesses that still need to become on board, and the existing businesses have got a role to play in that positive agenda. And we need to see the financial community really stepping up, as it is in many respects, but helping with aggregation, helping with innovative finance products to get the business moving. So let me just finish by returning to our guinea pig. This guinea pig has been fed the wrong type of food and too much of it. The analogy being that our economy is being fed the wrong type of energy, i.e. fossil fuel generated energy, and too much of it. So if our guinea pig has got one foot in the grave, what is the antidote? Well, the antidote is many of the things that we heard today. You here in this room are key players on that agenda, and my challenge to you is to take away these ideas. Yes, they will be taken to the G20 and elsewhere, but you need to take them back to your own organisations. I will certainly do that within WWF, and that's my challenge to you. Thank you very much.